Panda.
Small update because I don't want to get too detailed or not detailed necessarily. That's not the right wording, but I don't want to get too deep into this particular topic because it is turning into a absolute clusterfuck of the worst kind. Like the absolute worst kind. So here's an update on the whole situation with the Bayonetta voice actress, Miss Hellena Taylor. So she posted a new tweet to basically address everybody calling her a liar. And in her means of like addressing it, she kind of basically proved that she did in fact misconstrued some information. So great. But yeah, so people have been like dragging her online after that Bloomberg article. And it's one of those things where at the time we had two sides of a story and there isn't too much of us corroborating until she posted her tweet. And then we're just like, oh, you're misrepresenting shit. So this article's from Kotaku, so you can like see it yourself. You know how we do. You know how we be. But I'm gonna skip all that shit and I'm just gonna go straight to her reply. This was her tweet. Now let's keep in mind what her original allegation was. Her original allegation and then the updated allegation. The original allegation was that she was going to get $4,000 flat. Right? She did, to her defense, in video numero 3, she did say that she didn't like the original offer, asked for a better offer, and then when she asked for a better offer, she got the 4K flat rate. There was a lot of detail that's missing in between those two figures, which is what the Bloomberg article covered. The Bloomberg article then said that she was actually offered close to 15, about like 3 to 4K per session, and each session being like about four grand, give or take. Right? So that was the Bloomberg article. And if we break it down, like $4,000 for like a good how many hour session? Like anywhere between a 6 to 8 hour session, like assuming like that's substantial because most like even prolific voice actresses don't get offered that much. That's not to say that that's an acceptable wage. Two things can be true. She was offered a lot of money for voice acting work, yes, but she's not wrong in asking for more because she's an actress and actresses tend to get more than that. You know, when they're not doing video game voiceover work, they get residuals, which is a big topic. They get, you know, there is a certain level of truth of like the industry that she covered, but not her situation because she was offered a deep amount. So it became what they said versus what she said. But now with her tweet where she's adding in her own detail, hold the fuck up, there is stuff that is matching. So the dragging of Bayonetta of all people on 2022 on Beyonce's fucking internet continues. This is her reply. This is 100% her, right? It has come to my attention that some people are calling me a liar and a gold digger. I feel the need to defend myself and my reputation in the industry. As I posted on part 3 of my video thread, and she highlights which video where she alludes that there was a previous deal and then doesn't really like tell us what that deal was. I explained that the first offer was too low. That offer was $10,000 total. Bloomberg was saying it was actually closer to 15, but the one thing that we can confirm here is that she was offered $10,000 for the original game. Remember, this is a $450 million franchise. The franchise, yes. The game itself, not necessarily. Not counting merchandise. I then wrote in Japanese. You asked a friend to write in Japanese for you, but that's just details, asking for what I was worth. I thought that as a creative, he would understand. He replied saying how much he valued my contribution to the game and how much fans wanted me to voice the game. I was offered an extra 5. She wrote weirdly here, but it looks like a typo. She was offered an extra 5,000. And you know what? That is what brought it to the 15. So I declined to voice the game. I then heard nothing from them for 11 months. They then offered me a flat fee to voice some lines for $4,000. Any other lies, such as 4,000 for 5 sessions, are total fabrications. Except that is what you said in your first video, and then clarified in your third. So my friend, you are purposely misleading here. There were not extensive negotiations. I've also been informed of ridiculous fixtures, such as I asked for $250,000. I'm a team player. I was just asking for a fair living wage in line with the value to bring to the game. So, 15 grand might not sound like a lot when we stretch it out to a year, right? But we have to actually get the scope of how many hours she's putting in to record these lines, and it's like re-recording and all that other stuff, right? And if there's is there an expectation of her to show up to conventions? Because sometimes part of the contract is you have to do, you know, like if anybody wants to do an interview, you have to do those. If they want you to show, I mean, it's a video game, so it wouldn't be as prolific as showing up to like a talk show or anything like that. But there is certain stuff outside of the project that you're working on that is sometimes included in the contract, right? So taking that into consideration, if that was part of the deal, which for voice acting in video games, that might not be the case at all. It might be just a situation of, hey, we want you to record the thing, and you know, keep it fucking moving, right? So let's assume that the project in total is like, what would it take to record the video, like every line in a video game, every grunt? Because the thing is that despite the cinematic events, you know what? Giving her the benefit of a doubt, let's just say 80 hours, right? Let me take up my handy dandy calculator. Let's just say 80 hours, right? So that means it's $15,000 divided by 80, which breaks down to about $187 an hour. Again, if it's just 80 hours of work, that's not a bad deal. And if this is assuming that like 80 hours at like, let's say like 8-hour days, which is typical, you know what? No, because let's say it's a 6-hour day. 6-hour day, right? That would be about 13 sessions. So 13 days. So for 13 days out of the entire year, she made 15 grand. At $187 an hour, if I was making that like in a year, that'd be that figure. And that is me working 40-hour weeks for 52 weeks, which is 52 weeks in a year. That is what $187 an hour looks like. Also depressing when you start to think about the income gap and how this is probably like a paycheck per week for someone. So I'm like, this is a situation where unfortunately the fact that she misconstrued information is going to have long-term problems, because with voice actors unionizing to try to get treated as fairly as they're managing, and the battle for residual is still a battle because they don't get any, despite so many other actors and entertainers in the industry, like music, fucking like cartoon, TV shows, movies, like all like actors across the industry do in fact get residuals, but voice acting in video games specifically do not. This is why on any level of activism, anything that you're doing in that regard, especially if you're taking the risk of breaking an NDA to get there, you want to make sure that all the details are up front so that you can't get painted, even if it wasn't your intention. Remember kids, intent versus impact. Your intent could be here, but impact don't give a fuck, right? Like, that's how that works. Her intent could have easily have been to provide that information that Bloomberg then revealed. And that's fine. But unfortunately, since she presented it in such a way, and I'll give her I'll toss one final bone, which is you can visibly tell that she has some level of anxiety, and it's visible throughout all the video that she produced for the initial release of all this drama, right? Like, tossing her even that much of a bone, they'll want to make sure that all the information is there and present because of the weight of the accusation that you are making. If you had to like pre-write that shit and read it off of a sheet of paper, so just so that you can speak, like present it, then do that. Like, do anything other than just make everybody believe because of how you worded shit that you were just given a flat rate of four grand, which everybody across the voice acting industry was losing their titties over, because oh my god, that's awful for someone as prolific as this goddess over here, right? When instead it's just that you very, very quickly mentioned that you did have an initial offer, didn't say what that initial offer was, and then pushed the narrative of being paid a fair and living wage, which is true. We all deserve a fair and living wage. But we need to request that with the truth by our side, because if not, the people that are eager to keep their heel on our necks, not you, sweetie, you can always do that. No, but the people that are literally determined to keep their heels on our necks so that we can never rise above the monetary caste system we are placed in, they will find any weakness in our argument, any weakness, to make sure that our argument is invalidated, because they are not here to discuss through our points. They are here to invalidate our points so that there's no need to discuss through them and nothing changes, right? It's the same argument when it comes to minimum wage. It's the same argument when it comes to voice actors deserving residuals. It's across the board on anyone that feels that they are not paid their worth, which in the United States in 2022 is everyone who's outside of the upper class. Let's just call a duck, right? We can't possibly make any change worth a damn if we're going forward with fabrication or mistruths or misleading or half-truths or omissions. Like, you did the good thing about this is that now the dialogue again of how voice actors and actresses are being treated in the community, we finally have that conversation again, which is a conversation to have. We need to have the dialogue. But the unfortunate problem with that now is that we finally have the dialogue and everyone is buzzing and it is a hot topic and now everybody is chiming in on it. You also have people that are chiming in from the other side, using this as a means to muddle the water and basically call her a gold digger for asking for a fair and living. It is a shame, but that is the reality that we're in. Put your best foot forward, y'all, because they will absolutely trip you up if you don't.